And we are live. Hello, everybody. I am Kathleen Sherman, Shamanic Medical Intuitive, coming on with the Hearts of Change Collective. Jennifer Passavan, I'll pass it off to you for a sec. Sorry.
I'm Jennifer Passavan. I'm an intuitive spiritual life coach, energy healing practitioner,
My gosh.
and the chainsaw.
Yeah, and I'm Bonnie Bird, wellness practitioner, Akashic record read, and the chainsaws in the background.
And we are bringing on Adam and Debbie tonight again. We're talking about things that go bump in the night and spooky stories tonight. So we wanted to welcome everybody on. Welcome, Adam. Welcome, Debbie. Thank you for joining us. We're going to have a fun Halloween special tonight.
I don't know why you included me on things that go bump in the night, for crying out loud. You know I'm a chicken. And what this is.
Well, we can talk about whatever the heck you want to talk about too. The bump in the night. I know that you've had experiences too, but we just thought we'd have some fun dressing up tonight because I mean,
yes,
that sounded like
It's the time of year.
It's that time of year.
I love this, Adam.
Yeah.
Is that really Adam? I don't know.
I don't know.
Is it?
Can you talk to that, Adam?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. That's good to know.
Not that
There's
I know where the
Adam.
microphone.
I was starting to wonder how we was going to chat.
I got to find where the microphone is, but yeah, it's around here somewhere.
So Adam, why don't you go first and talk through your mask and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I'm Adam Wislick, or known as the Black Swamp Medium. I do obviously mediumship and remote viewing. I'm a paranormal investigator. I'm also a host to my other friend in the room, Debbie. And we do a show that I'll let her introduce it so that way she can have a little time. But yeah, no, good times. Always enjoy being able to share the information. So thank you, Jennifer, Bonnie, and Kathy for having us on.
Our pleasure. We're happy.
Yes.
I'm interested to know why my name is Nadine now.
I was like looking at that.
Would you like me to fix it? I can fix it.
No, I mean,
Hey,
I think you
get to
should
be
fix
somebody
that.
new for the night.
If you see yourself, Nadine, tonight, you go right ahead.
well, I will be anybody I want tonight, won't I?
I've been looking at that confused the whole time going, Nadine.
Yeah, I just looked at that going, I don't generally try to look at myself, but yeah, I did this time and I'm like, Nadine. That's my mother's name. So, I mean,
Are you using, well, yeah, it's whatever you are using for your Zoom.
Oh,
It's listed under your Zoom name.
that's why, because the last Zoom I did was with my mom and her doctor.
Oh.
Oh, there you go. You can rename yourself.
That's okay. I don't know how to rename myself. Are you kidding?
Okay. Hey, you do you.
Oh, how do I rename myself?
Kathy can do it for you.
I can do it.
Oh, please do it, because I am not my mother. I am not my mother.
Renaming yourself by,
Right on.
Nadine.
I'm like, why am I Nadine? What is Nadine? Yeah. Okay. I'm really not good with this kind of thing, honestly.
MARCUM, correct?
Yep.
There we go. Is that better?
That's better. Now I feel like I'm me again.
Yay. I was going to say, well, yeah. So we could be whoever we want to be tonight.
We really could, which is pretty fantastic.
Yes. Yes. So do we want to tell some ghost stories? Or do we want to tell some stories about ourselves?
I like the idea of ghost stories, but I don't know if we all have ghost stories. So I figure
We should play Truth or Dare.
No.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm better at that game. I don't know.
was like, oh, spin the bottle maybe or something else.
Virtual spin to the bottle.
virtual
Lick Adam's ear. Go ahead. Lick Adam's ear.
Yeah, do it.
Debbie,
my God, he's so cool.
Debbie, tell a little bit about what you do.
Oh, I am an evidential medium, so I collect evidence for missing persons cases that I work on. I'm part of SWIPY. I am a second host to Beyond the Silence Radio on Facebook. That's about it for me. Unless you want me to go into my ceramics and my paper crafting and the rest of the things that I cannot help.
Yeah, tell us
That
everything.
sounds
you
fun.
do.
No, we're not going to talk about it because I start to shake when I talk about it. Because let me just show you. I will show you one thing real quick.
Okay.
This
Ooh,
Ooh,
that's
Santa's
awesome.
house.
that's awesome.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, that's. Gosh, somebody's whistling at me, and it's probably Jessica because she swore she was going to interrupt me tonight. Thanks to Kathleen.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, no, I told her I was on your show tonight, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to call you, and I'm going to send you messages." So
Woohoo!
I'm going to turn my phone off.
Just watch the live and join in the conversation. Just saying.
Right.
So does anybody know the true story of Halloween, how it came about?
Mm.
Do tell. Do
Tell us, Bonnie.
Well, I'm gonna let Jennifer tell. She's gonna tell better than I can.
Oh,
I'm just trying to get us talking.
You knew. Okay. All right.
I do know it, but I think you do better with details.
So once there was this scary thing that came out of a grave and it just walked around on this one day in October.
the 31st, maybe. I don't know.
All Hallows Eve.
All,
Oh, yeah.
All Hallows Eve. Yeah. So it's actually hold on, my computer's doing. Okay, there we go. It's actually an ancient Celtic tradition called Samhain. It looks like it's pronounced Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. And it was when the Celts believed that the veil between the spirit realm and the physical realm was one of the days that it's its thinnest. And so you can better communicate with your loved ones, but also be my phone's blowing up. Sorry.
It's probably my
also
kid.
Visited by spirits that are unwelcome. And so in order to protect themselves from these nefarious spirits, they would put out turnips. And Jesus Christ, Netley, I got stuff popping up all over my computer. Anyway, so to scare these negative spirits off, they would carve out like turnips and things, not pumpkins. That's a Merkin thing. But they would carve out turnips and put candles in them, and then also dress up as something scary in order to scare off the negative entities, while also honoring and celebrating their crossed over loved ones by setting places at the dinner table for them. And it's kind of similar to the Day of the Dead. La Dia de los Muertos in Mexico. So where they do the same thing, they honor those who've crossed over and they celebrate the transition, and it's very interesting. But that's kind of how it started. Then it got usurped by the Catholic Church, and it kind of went from there. But it's a holy day for those who celebrate the Celtic calendar. Anything you want to add, Bonnie?
Well, I think you did it.
I think it's so cool that we all work with spirit one way or another in all different cool ways. And so maybe we could give a little bit of an explanation on some of the things that we do working with spirit one way or another, or some of the things that we experience in our work. Does that sound like a cool idea?
Go for
Yes.
it.
We can also talk about ghost experiences.
Or ghost experiences, whatever you want to talk about.
Yes.
Adam, how do you want to start?
Okay, well, I mean, if you want, I can do a scary one, and Debbie her eyes will light up on this one.
Yeah.
So, well, one of the things that like you said, we both are a part of a team called SWPI, And we host public and private investigations at the Old Mill and Museum in Dundee, Michigan.
You can take your mask off a little bit because, boy, you sound funny.
Yeah. There
Okay.
you go.
There.
We just like to see your pretty
Ooh.
little face. There it is.
There.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
There
Yeah.
you go.
That's better.
Sorry, my dog's barking.
There.
Go ahead.
So that makes it better then. But yeah, so we host public and private investigations at the Old Mill and Museum in Dundee. And you know, some of the things, you know, usually our place isn't like one of those that we have a ton of things happening. I
Right.
mean, other than like, you know, really scary stuff. But there was one time before, a couple weeks before Parafest a number of years ago, that I picked up on something very odd and strange in our basement. And typically we have resident spirits, so it was no big deal. But this was something different, and it was very odd. It was like part man, part dog, and it was crawling around on the ceiling. And it was, you know,
Ugh.
it was kind of freaky. And so we didn't tell a lot of people about it because, one, we were getting close to our Parafest, but you know, it's was freaky looking. As long as you stayed away from it and didn't go near it, it was fine. And it would just do its thing in the corner and just kind of crawl around, and that was it. And it just stayed there. So Parafest shows up, and then a number of people that were going down there, you know, ended up like describing the exact same thing that I saw 2 weeks prior. And Debbie,
Well, the thing about that though is only certain people were allowed down there because it was not open for investigation. So Mike, who is a former member of our team, was dragging us down there. People that thought, oh, you should come see the basement, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
So that was the first time I had been to the Old Mill, and I met the dog thing. So I was like a little put off on that. That was kind of like I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. Never really thought I never even thought anything like that exists, but it almost
Right.
I started researching because it was just so curious to me. It wasn't like I was afraid of it or anything, but it looked similar to a hellhound.
Yeah.
If you look that up online, similar to a hellhound, but the back legs looked more like the new German Shepherd breed, where their back leg, their butts are sunk down and their back legs are weird looking. And it was kind of weird. Like there was a time period when there were so many people seeing this, not just at the mill, but everywhere, this thing. So I'm still a little bit in awe over that. But go ahead, Adam. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, it's cool. I mean, because you got to experience a lot of it too. And I think so even then, you know, once everybody, you know, that did get a chance to witness it, you know, it was like, okay. And Debbie obviously, you know, really reacted to it. But it was probably the following year that we went to a new location, and Debbie wasn't at this one, but we went, the team, well, some of the team members, and then a few extras, just to, you know, fill it out. But we were in Dearborn, Michigan, and we were at the Dearborn Museum. And so it has a lot of what happened in Dearborn, you know, because it was a Civil War, a Union Civil War fort that was there. And so you still have a few buildings left. And in the commandant's quarters, we just all of a sudden, I went down into their basement, lower level, and sure enough, there's another dog man exactly almost identical to the one I saw. And so I cornered it down a small little hallway, which ends up in a storage room, but I was blocking him. So he was getting mad, and like, you know, through my, you know, spiritual eyes and things, he was, I mean, just like ready to just tear somebody up, like as, you know, a wolf, you know, saw prey. And but that's the thing, is I stood my ground and stuff like that. And eventually I was trying to reason with it because it wouldn't tell me anything, but I wanted to see what it would tell me. So eventually I said, okay, well, if we work the deal out, you tell me some information, you know, I'll let you go. And so I said, okay, well, I'll let you by, but you got to promise we got to do something. Well, he goes by me and I could feel the breeze. He runs up the stairs, keeps going up to like the second and third floor. So I go up running after him because I was like, okay, we're not done yet. Chasing him through a couple of the rooms in the upstairs and corner him in another room. So this time he's up and he's like tearing up the walls, even though they're not really being torn, but he's really just upset that I'm blocking him. So one of the friends I had with me was a professional photographer. So me and my other friend on the team, Jennifer, were kind of blocking him in the room. And I told her, I said, set up the camera right in the middle of the doorway on her tripod. So she set the camera up. She's taking photos, not really getting much, but I said, okay. I told him, I said, one more chance. I said, tell me, give me some more information, which he was. And I said, okay, thank you for that. Let's go downstairs. And if you want, we'll open up the doors and you can leave on your own accord. And he's like, cool. So I tell Dana, was her name. I said, Dana, okay, when I tell you to hit the button, hit the button. And so sure enough, as soon as we back out, I was the last one out of the room and I said, go. She takes the photo. It goes running back down to the main floor. Meanwhile, we look at the camera and sure enough, we see something. So it was astounding that we caught a glimpse of it. Now we can't see the head, but we could see basically from about the mid torso back to its rear end as it's running by the camera. So
Wow.
it runs down, it goes to the main floor, it brushes up against a few of the people on the team that's hosting it. And, they were all freaked out because it was pretty profound, running by and hitting them. So eventually, long story short, I could feel him. He was next to me. And finally we opened up one of the doors and he runs out and you could feel the energy shift immediately. But everybody that was there, which was, good 6 to 8 of us, we're all experiencing something at some point during this, whole thing. But it's definitely not one that you ever want to mess with if you ever come across it, because it is not of human nature. It's not of anything that is known to us. Yes.
I have questions.
Right. Go for it.
First of all, of the questions that you asked this thing, did you ask it what it is or where it came from?
Basically, he couldn't give me like a straight up answer, but it definitely said it was not of this world. And
Right.
that was as far as it would go. So I'm like, all right. So I figured I got something. We're on our way, because it just leads me into the next experiences that if it comes across, then I'm going to sit there and keep hounding at it, so to speak, and trying to find out more. But yeah, it definitely was something not of here, and where it came from, I don't know yet, because I was trying things, you got to relax and calm down. I mean, we're all, like, we're not here to, do damage to you or hurt you in any way, but yet it was still trying to play games and, scare people and stuff. And I can't imagine what it would do if it like jumped onto somebody or attached to somebody. I have no idea what the outcome would be, but I don't think it would be pleasant. You know what I mean? So, if we're going to get to like some of the serious stuff that's out there, which is rare, the king of all kings, where it's a demonic style, but, who's to say what this thing was going to do, if it attached to you, because a lot of people do have, issues with elementals. I think it kind of goes down that path a little bit, but at the same time, it's still a mystery, because, for months after that, and even a couple of years, we've been still asking others, that have had experiences with the dog man, as I like to call it. Nobody's gotten any more answers than what little we have gotten so far. So that was scary. No doubt about it.
So dog man. Okay, so you've kind of answered my next question, which was going to be like, did it feel negative? But it sounds like kind of yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get that. I didn't get the negative. I mean, my first encounter with this thing was years prior to this, because I was up at another place doing an investigation with some other friends and in Houghton Lake. And I had a similar experience up there, but we were all sitting in the bar. It was no big deal. Everything was fine. And then all of a sudden I got this terrible scratch across the back of my calf. And I'm like, what the heck? My calf is burning. We weren't doing anything. We weren't investigating. We were doing nothing. And I pulled up my pant leg and I saw this scratch and I'm like, what the heck? Well, meanwhile, somebody, not at the same time that this happened, but during that table dinner, somebody got up and took a picture of us, and behind me in this picture, you can see the outline of a dog. So yeah, it was pretty bizarre and scary. Yeah. I mean, I didn't feel like it was negative, but yeah, scratching me is pretty negative. But I like the one at the mill. It was more afraid of me than I was of it, which is pretty amazing because I'm afraid of everything. So it was pretty calm to me. That one, the one at the mill, was like, I had no fear of that at all. None. I was just simply astounded that there was a dog on the ceiling. I'm like, what is happening here? Like, why is there a dog on the ceiling? but I wasn't afraid at all. And trust me, I get afraid very easily.
Well, then maybe, maybe it wasn't negative. Maybe it was, that it was terrified. And
Right.
it was acting the way it was because it was terrified. So that's
Right.
sure.
Right. And that's the way I felt, that it was more afraid of me because it was scattering, trying to get away, didn't move. Like I was frozen. I didn't move because I didn't know at that point when I first saw it, it was moving when I first saw it. I just kept myself and let it go wherever it wanted to go.
Good idea. Kaz Hensel says, when I was with MCGH, which I don't know what that means.
Motor City Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
We encountered it at the command. What is it?
Commandant's quarters. Yep.
Thank you. I'm like commandant's quarters.
Yeah.
That's at the Dearborn Museum. So I believe it. If he put it in there, I thought there was an encounter last year in 19 as well. So it was almost a full year because I think the first time I was at the Dearborn one was in 2018. And that's the first time we noticed it. And then I thought it was exactly almost a year later that it showed up again. So that might be when it was for him, unless he corrects me.
Yeah, he says our Skinwalker only came across it once.
Yeah.
Skinwalker.
Yeah. Which is it's very similar.
That's another name that I would have, I would know it by, is a Skinwalker. That sounds more familiar to me.
Yeah. And that's the stuff that's out west in the Utah thing where the Skinwalker Ranch. So that's where they're notorious being seen.
Huh.
Yeah. I never even saw the end of that show.
I didn't either. I missed the last 2 or 3 episodes.
Wow. Can't believe that.
So you said they're like half human, but what part of them is human like?
Well, you could see just the way they're shaped. I mean, it literally, I guess if you've seen a werewolf movie and you kind of see that change where you still don't have like a ton of hair on it. It still kind of has, the skin and things that are human skin like. And the way for me that when I saw it both times, they're a lot longer with the legs and things.
Yeah.
They don't seem exactly quite the hound or the canine sort of thing you would be used to, but so it's really kind of that in between change of it.
Yeah, it's the rear end of it looks weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the rear end that gives it the more, I wouldn't say human-like because that sure didn't look human to me, but he's right. It's the kind of a change thing that
So what is this creature known to do? I mean, why is it present?
I mean, that's
Nobody
the thing
knows.
is they're right. It's still like kind of a newish thing because even the things that they've seen out west, under the names out there, they still don't know. But there's rumors of things of what it can do to you, but at the same time, it's messes you up. I mean, as far as mentally, all the things that you would get like even in a typical, so to speak, attachment from even just a normal spirit, can mess with you, mood changes, it very similar to all the things we've always heard about, but it just has that more, nasty, unknown area that's why I think the big thing is we're not sure of all its capabilities. We just know, from the stories that have been passed down, because even Native Americans have described it and drew it in their hieroglyphs, or not hieroglyphs, but their pictographs and things.
Right. So speaking of that, Cass says 2016, maybe 2017. And then Lindsay says Skinwalker is a Navajo term. So that like perfect timing.
Yep.
That up. It just describes an entity that takes on different forms or disguises itself. I'm pretty sure that's what I've read before.
Yeah.
I think I've read it can possess. That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is.
It is scary. Thank you, Bonnie.
Yeah. I don't ever want to meet one of those.
Stay calm.
Stay right where they're at.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is whether it was at the mill or at the Dearborn Museum, I mean, it's once you see it, it's like, just don't sit there and charge after it. Not that, I mean, even ghost hunters don't like sit there and just go running after a spirit. I mean, nobody does that. Everybody just kind of sits still and like, let me talk to you from this distance. And how are you?
I don't know, Adam. I kind of do.
Yeah.
I kind of just go.
Well, and I
Huh?
do too, but I mean,
Yeah.
I guess
I'm pretty sure you wouldn't though when you saw this. I'm pretty sure you would just try to.
you're stunned. You're a deer in headlights, essentially.
Oh.
It is because it's something that it's not. I mean, I don't know if I physically saw it. This is the problem with me. I don't know if I physically saw it or if it was like third eye saw it. I can't tell. I don't know. I'm like I said, I've always said I've never seen an apparition, but I do talk to spirit and I see spirit, but this I don't know. I don't know if I kept clearing my eyes because it was dark.
Mhm.
And there we had some small light on, but I kept blinking my eyes trying to see, okay, am I seeing this in my head? Am I seeing this what is going on? And normally you can tell. So for me, I think it was more of a physical seeing it, like an apparition seeing it, than it was a third eye seeing it. So, I mean, it was weird. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty bizarre.
When you do see something like that, it's like your mind tries to make sense of it, so it tells you you're not really seeing it. But
Yeah.
Right.
not. It's doing exactly what you're saying. You're like,
Yeah.
I did see it, but no, it could have been something else. Or
Right.
you know,
And
you
that's
just
why,
start
I
trying
kept
to.
looking, and then I would look away because I'm like, okay, if I look away, am I going to see over here? No. If I could, and I look back and it's still there. I look over here. I look back. I'm like trying to figure it out. Like it was just bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
here, are you not here? Or are you, I mean, what is going on?
Yeah.
Well, see, I had that happen to me, but it wasn't anything scary, but it freaked me out because of my guardian angel. But
Mhm.
what she did was I was she took me up into another realm and she was showing me my future because before I went to sleep, I said, am I ever going to be happy? Am I ever going to have a home of my own? And I was really sad. I was really young. And then she took me up into this realm and she was showing me that I was like seeing my avatar being happy and smiling, which was weird being on the outside, and then dancing with my husband, but I could only see the back of his head. And I was looking up and smiling, and I could tell that I was really happy. And
Yeah.
she was answering all of my questions, and then I said, what is that loud buzzing noise? And she goes, oh, it's the realm, it does that. And it scared me so bad that I fell right out of it, and I landed, I mean, my spirit landed right into my body, really like in a slam. And when I opened my eyes, she was at the end of the bed, and I could see right through her. And she had like this robe thing on, and I was like, oh my, and I like climbed up to the end of the bed and I was going, oh my God, oh my God. And she just puts her hands out like, I'm not gonna hurt you. And the only way out of the room was through her. So I had to run through her out of the room.
Oh,
I know, I know. And then I'm sitting there rocking, going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then I heard, I'm your guardian angel. I love you. I would never hurt you. Never would I hurt you. And I went, I'm such an idiot. I was like, I cannot believe that scared me that bad. And to this day, I think it's my Colita. She's my guide. To this day, she's laughing. She's
oh my gosh. That is
she's
so
she's the one that was with me for my first breath. So she's going to
Yeah.
be here till I pass. And she just laughs at me because I'm so silly that way. I mean, every new thing that I get every time I get an upgrade, I do the same thing. I'm like, what is it? Nope. Tell me what it is. Go slow. Don't go fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Through a student running through a spirit, screaming, and then going, "That was dumb." Numerous times. But when you
Oh,
don't,
that's
like,
funny.
it's different when it's in your mind's eye, and your eyes are closed and you're seeing all kinds of weird crap. Like during a session or whatever. Like that's no problem. But when you wake up and there is an individual in your bedroom,
Yes.
it's a whole different ballgame. And sometimes it's like they feel, well, first of all, if there's a part of you going, I'm awake, right? Yeah,
This
okay,
isn't real. Yeah.
Yeah.
and there's still somebody there. Okay. Who are they? What do they want? You just kind of feel it out. But depending on how they move or what color they are. And so for me, if a spirit is either low vibrational or freshly transitioned, they're either black or like a translucent dark gray. But they look mostly physical, because to me they're like silhouette. It's dark, it's in my bedroom, all I see is a form, right? So to me they look solid. So as far as I know, there's some creepy dude in my bedroom who's there to like murder me. I'm gonna go running. Run through them into the wall or out the door, screaming down the hallway, as I've done, numerous times, only to find that, they weren't there to hurt me. Like this one guy, I actually could see his face, but he looked so solid. It was like he was black and white, but to me he just looked back lit. Like how your vision is black and white in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought it was. And I opened my eyes to see that he's in my, it didn't occur to me that, dum-dum, your door's not all the way open. If he were physical, that your door would be all the way open, because I always keep it open a crack for my cat to get it out. And he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and I'm kind of doing I'm awake, right? And he's looking at me, and then he does one of these things. Absolutely terrified. He goes into my face, arms out, and so I'm thinking,
that's what she did.
I don't know what. So I get up and I do this, thinking, I'm going to push him. This is a real person. I'm going to push him out of the way, and I'm going to go tearing out of my bedroom. I ran through him to the door, out the door, down the hallway, screaming. And this time my mom was alive, and she's like, Jenny, what is it? Are you okay? And so here's me trembling. And I'm going to be so painfully honest with you guys. I legit ran to my mommy, sat on her lap, and she held me as I'm trembling, telling her that there was a spirit man in my room. It was one of my first full, physical spirit visitations. And it was absolutely, and then of course I realized he was just looking to see if I was seeing him. I was doing to him what he was doing to me. He was like, is she really looking at me? And he was just getting a closer look, but no, I was still new to the whole seeing dead people thing, so it was a little terrifying.
What really freaked me out was when she reached out. She reached out to pet me, and I was like, "Don't touch me!"
Oh my gosh!
Oh my god, it was so funny.
But if they're not, I think, are you real? But if they glow, it's fine, because I know, okay, you're very dead.
She was glowing like that fluorescent.
Yeah.
That fluorescent white blue.
Yes.
She was. Yeah, she definitely was of the light. But your brain's not thinking like that. You're just like, there's something in my room talking to me and trying to touch me. I'm getting out of here.
Numerous.
Oh my god.
The skinwalker thing. She says, I wonder if it can psychologically project itself in mind's eye. Powerful energy, if so. And skinwalkers probably could do that.
Don't want to find out.
And says, for me, called to circle, and as sun arose, saw an apparition. That's very cool. And a lot of people saying hi. Hello, everybody. Hey, Nancy.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. I have some interesting stuff that's happened lately, because I do a lot of house clearings. I do a lot of negative entity clearings, a lot of that kind of stuff. And one thing that was really interesting recently was I had some friends that wanted me to come help them clear a space. There were a lot of Native Americans that were kind of trapped in this space, and they had been showing themselves to her. And so I checked with Spirit to make sure it was okay if I told this story. They told me it was okay. And it's not far from my house. And so she'd been seeing them. And so we went there. There were, let's see, 1, 2, 3. So there were 4 of us. And we kind of needed each other's energy. Sometimes you need to get together with others to kind of bring in that good energy. And so we went out to the woods, hiked back into the woods, into this space. And it was like this gridded out, it looked like a black spider web of energy in this area. And it was kind of like an energetic trap. And I hadn't seen anything quite like this before in this space. And This is more of a darker story, really. It's good because we released all of these souls. So what happened is this felt elemental to me. And there were three beings that were of a more negative energy, that they just looked like monsters, I can just put it that way, that kind of were the ringleaders of keeping this energy. And it almost like trapped the souls in the spot in the woods. And this had been going on for centuries, probably thousands of years. And so there was all these trapped souls. So we kind of helped all of those souls go to the light. There's a whole bunch of them. And then after that, I walked over, and my friend had said, don't go over that way, or guide had said, don't go over that way. And this, Debbie, this is where I'm talking about, I do go walk. I seriously do walk right up to them. And I heard my guides were like, walk over there. And I just went up there and stood up to it. And it was a big elemental dark being. That's all I can say. It was huge. It was like a story high. And I walked up to, and of course I bring in all my angels and my guy. I bring in the artillery, I bring in the highest vibrational angels and beings that I can. And I just went, okay, all right, dude, you're going to go down. I just looked up at him like, oh God, what am I doing? Shit, I hope you guys are really here with me. I had legion angels with me, and I just went and I kind of transmuted the energy. So I end up just transmuting it with this white light energy, and I bring in the angelic energy and my spirit animals and all that kind of stuff. But we cleared it. We cleared the entire property. It's cleared now, and thousands of souls were trapped. I had never seen anything like that, but
They have.
Adam, if you could consider that one, to me, was more demonic on the demonic level,
Right.
but it wasn't a demon per se. It was an elemental. It was a darker elemental.
Can you explain elemental? Some people don't know what elemental is.
Elemental is something that's connected with the land, that is like in a different dimension than we are, because there's all types of different things in different dimensions, different beings. There's a lot of them that are kind of being exposed right now, which is interesting. And not all of them are negative. There's some things that I just help, relocate some of them. They look like all different kinds of things. Some of them, like this one that I'd seen, I don't think has really been seen on Earth before, unless if somebody could actually see into that realm. And most people are born pretty much seeing pretty well, like as seers, but we kind of close it up when we get older. But a lot of people can see, fairies and things like that. So fairies and water sprites and those types of things. There's all different types of elemental beings that are in a different realm, and they kind of, a lot of them keep balancing on the earth. So you have like the more negative ones that, there's, everything has to come into balance. So you have the gamut of all the negative ones, the positive ones, and it's just like kind of like people, honestly, you have to have that balance in there. So when I transmuted that energy and kind of released that, whatever the heck that trap type of thing was out in the woods there, it wasn't just me. It was like all four of us that did this energy work, this amazing energy work. And you could feel it, you could breathe after that. And like whenever somebody would walk through it, what they would show me is when they would walk through this space in the woods, people would get like trapped. They showed me walking in circles, like they wouldn't know. It would totally make them be lost. They were totally disoriented in that space. And it was like they were energetically walking around forever. Adam, what do you think about that? I'm curious to see what you think.
Well, for sure. I mean, I would agree that, in the same aspect of that, they are attached to the land. I mean, I've dealt with ones, even there's a particular place out on the near Lake Michigan that has one, and it scares the hell out of everybody. But when I have a chat with it, it's like, we're cool. It's like, I don't, well, and half the time it's because, I've done this long enough that, I've built up enough of that I don't want to say strength, but just that level of confidence that, I'm not going to sit there and just, get scared. And I'm not saying that everybody is, but I think I've just done it long enough to where they're not going to get to me and try to get me to freak out. So that way they, feel like they have the upper hand. I'm just not going to allow it. So So like even when I've dealt with that one, you know, yeah, he scares the hell out of everybody and freaks them out. You could just feel, you know, when you walk in the room, it's just, you know, like any kind of like haunted location, but yet here it is, you're out on the land and yet you feel it and you can sense something staring at you and running around and chasing you. So but yeah, no, I mean it's fascinating. And you know, that's why sometimes I wonder, you know, if Native Americans had something to do with that, where they were using them to protect their, obviously their I wouldn't say lands per se, but just the ones that they have inhabited, because obviously they would have different places to go to, you know, keep the resources flowing. But sometimes I wonder where, you know, on burial grounds, do they set those up, you know, on purpose, whether it is an elemental or something other. So, you know, there's a lot of things that, you know, would be great to pick through and get more info on it. And, you know, there's some out there, but not a lot, but it's interesting. But yeah, for sure. I mean, all those things that you said too, with, you know, being confused and lost and spinning around. I mean, that's common because they don't want you to get familiar. They don't want you to be, you know, it's weird because you know, a lot of people are outdoorsy, but yet at the same time, it's like, why would they kick you out? Because you're just trying to enjoy it, but that's not what they're there for. They're there to, you know, do their thing and keep it safe for them. So, but yeah, they could be a handful.
Here's something that happened to me. I had this spirit every night. I would have nightmares, and the spirit would show me how she was murdered, and it was back in the day, way back with the Indians, and you know, the beginning of America back in then. And she was decapitated, or she was uh, violated, and then she was decapitated. And she kept showing it to me over and over, and I was like, what is this? Because at first I wasn't sure why I kept having this nightmare. I kept waking up, and I would be traveling, and I'd be walking through the there would be leaves on the ground, and I'd be walking through this trail with her, and then she would point, and then it would be the scene of what happened to her. And I was like, why do you keep doing this to me? I had no idea why she kept doing this to me. And then finally I started, because at first I would just try to shut it out, and I'd say, go away. I'd put the light. And what she finally said was that I drove by a river on the way to work in the morning. And every morning I would white light, because I worked in a factory. So I'd be building up so that I didn't absorb all that stuff. And so she said, I saw your light, and I don't know what to do. I've been here many, I don't know how long. I'm lost. And so I talked to her at night, and then the dream stopped. But I was like, wow, that was just so messed up. It felt like I was in an episode of Ghost Whisperers or something. A real life one. Yeah,
you were in your own episode.
Yeah. But I mean, it was gory. It was nothing, oh my God, nothing you could put on TV. That was just horrible what happened to that girl. But she wouldn't go because she felt unclean, because why they killed her was because she had a best friend that she really truly loved, but they knew, because he was Indian and she was white, she knew she couldn't be with him. So they were friends and only friends, but somebody saw the way they talked to each other, the way they looked at each other, and that's what happened. Yeah.
Wow.
And how I got her to go the light was because he came for her.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, because they made her watch him kill him first.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was awful. And it's right down the road from my house.
Oh my
Down
God.
by the river. It's like, wow.
It's interesting if people, if it's some of the stuff that's happened on properties, and a lot of the property cleansings, it's a lot of the times it's just like, kind of like Bonnie and I did a little bit of energy work on a building today, and it's like it was just a grumpy old man that was in there. He was just a grumpy old man, and we kind of came in and we're like, yep, go to the light or leave. And he like Jesus walked in with us and just went, you may want to like just go, because these ladies aren't going to let you they aren't going to let you go any other way. And he was like, okay, I'm leaving. We were just like, later, thank you. Thanks, have a great day.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny, because he was like, yeah, well, I'm just gonna go. It wasn't even hard, that one.
He didn't even like, he just like, okay, well, See you later then.
We
Bye-bye.
worked on another one where it was really creepy, you and I
Mhm.
together. I don't really want to name names because I don't know if he'd want me to tell, but he was digging up.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, he's like, stop telling that story. So he was like, for some reason, was digging, and he don't know why. He just kept digging, and digging, and he looking for something. He didn't know what it was, and every time I'd ask him what was he doing, he would just go, I don't know. There's something down there. I need to keep digging. And so he finally came up with this weird, metally looking, weird, strange material. And he goes, I don't know what this is, but that's what I was supposed to dig up. And then he gave it to me and then stopped digging, didn't go back there anymore. Well, we were doing a house clearing and I happened to bring that up and I showed it to her. And she goes, oh, that thing don't feel right. She goes, you need to get that out of your house, Kathleen did. And then when we went in to see what it was all about, tell the rest of the story, Kathleen. It was pretty scary. It was like
The stuff that was buried. Was that the same one? The stuff that was
the
buried.
same. It was a curse, and it wanted to break the curse to let the spirits out.
I can't remember.
There was trapped spirits there. Do you remember? And then there was witches. There were 3 witches who made the curse.
Oh, yeah. So sorry. Okay, yep. So
Yeah.
that actually was, oh God. And the way they explained it to me and showed me was that those were kind of like that was really a dark one.
It was really
it's kind of
dark.
like, yeah, it was really like, how can I explain that? It's really like they were taking the essence of souls and kind of burying them in the crystals into the earth. And so we ended up
into whatever that stuff he dug up.
Whatever that was, it was
they
like
wanted to be released. So by him
Yeah.
doing that, it released him.
Yep.
Released
Yep.
them, the 3.
And it stopped. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we cleared it all and he don't remember it at all.
Wow.
I had to go show him the hole. That's where you were digging. He was like, what?
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's creepy, isn't it?
For a minute, I was thinking you were talking about the other one that I had that I went and cleared, that I went and worked on. Yeah,
Oh.
there was another.
Yeah.
I was like,
no.
oh wait, that was a different one.
Yeah. Yeah. We've done a lot
Sometimes,
of those
and I'm
together.
just gonna say, if you find things like stuck into the earth that people buried, you may want to leave them there most of the time, or you're gonna want to cleanse them because you can create a whole shitstorm.
Yeah, we were told to put that back into the earth. Whatever it was, we were supposed to put it back into the earth.
Yep. Put
Yeah.
it back in the earth. Yep. Leave it. Sometimes just leave it.
Freed the souls, rebury it.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's really crazy.
Well, then we went down and did some earth grid work to clear all of that out, because whatever the heck was being done there, man, it was not good.
It was some crazy,
not
some
good.
crazy hex that had
Yeah.
souls trapped. And yeah,
I'm glad
so
you guys
weird.
clear the hex, get the souls freed, and then get that out of there by burying it again.
Yep. That's for sure.
I had gone with a friend up to Lilydale and we were sleeping, and the hotel that we were in was really haunted. They kept putting their faces down and doing all that stuff to us, and I kept bringing in Jesus and telling him to clear it and doing all this stuff because I wanted to sleep. And all of a sudden I was sleeping and how when you feel like you're not in this realm but you are. And I felt like the lady was telling me, I died here. And she goes, there's a lake behind us. And she showed me this old fashioned car, and her and her kids were in it. And it just kind of went into the lake because it split off because it was wintertime. And I was like, I always call upon Jesus to bring people to the light. So I called him. And all of a sudden I saw the rose petals being dropped. And I was going, oh, you guys, don't that feel good? Jesus is dropping the rose petals because he was doing a ceremony. And then I looked around and I said, did I say that out loud? Because I thought I was asleep. And then the other 2 that was with me, they said that they were seeing the same lady telling the same story about her going to the lake. And then we went back to sleep. And then after I went to sleep, it was like all of a sudden the ceremony started again, and it was like legions of angels all the way up, and they opened a portal over that lake, and I mean, I can't even tell you how many souls went up in it. That
Wow.
they just one right after another back, and the angels were just singing and raising the vibration, and then I woke up in the morning and I was like, did you guys have any weird dreams, you know? So I'm like, and then the girl that came with me, she was like, yeah, it's some sort of ceremony, bunch of angels. And I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. She was a medium too and a psychic, so but I mean that was just insane.
That is in a very cool way.
Hmm.
Adam, Nancy says, yes, it is very possible. My daughter had two that looked like foo dogs that protected her property, because you were talking about things that were designed to protect property.
Right.
So
Yep.
about that. And then Lindsay about this is back about the elementals. She says, since humans don't respect the earth in the ways in which they could, I could see how they might be conflicted between elementals and humans. Not that elementals are bad, but we may not mesh well. And I agree, because there's some elementals who understand that we're not all bad and we don't all treat the earth like crap.
Right.
And then there are some elementals that are, because elementals have an ego. And so there are some elementals that just hate us because they kind of, color us with the same brush, that we all treat the earth like complete crap. And so it just depends on which elemental you're dealing with, as to what you're going to get. Or you might get one that, is off-putting and like doesn't trust you because they don't know which kind you are. And so it's kind of like a grab bag, just like it is with people. So I have I have several weird stories. So I've been trying to figure out which one to tell first, because I have a lot of them. I think a quick one I could tell would be fairly recent, where there was a guy who slid sideways out of my wall, and he's wearing all black, and he had black beard and black hair and dark eyes, and he just slid out like he was sliding out from underneath a car, like an auto mechanic thing, but like next to my bed. That was kind of it. He disappeared. Next night, same thing. Now, this night, I wasn't wearing I was wearing a triquetra at the time for protection. And I forgot to put it back on before bed. So he slides out, and that was kind of it. I go back to sleep. And then I wake up feeling something on my shoulder. And I was like, that's creepy. And I was thinking he was trying to be a little inappropriate. So I kept pulling up my sheets and going back to sleep. And I woke up, same thing. Someone was touching my shoulder. I'm like, going back to sleep. Well, then after the second time of that, I'm awake in my dream, where I'm being given a dream where I'm waking up, and I can feel hands under my head, under the pillow. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And then half the pillow goes over my face, and someone's trying to smother me. So then I wake up, and I had to finally, through a lot of, help and asking other people, figured out that the guy was, because I thought it was the guy. It was not the guy. He was actually there to warn me, and I should have picked it up because he was wearing all black. And the last time I was visited by a man wearing all black, he was there to be like, hey, girl, you got to protect yourself, kind of thing. And so this guy was doing the same thing, and he knew, like, he was trying to give me a real heads up, because he knew I was going to forget to put my triquetra back on, and I'd be vulnerable. So that was kind of neat. But I have a lot of weird stories. I have a story about a woman who told me that I need to eat blueberries.
Ain't nothing wrong with being healthy.
Yeah.
I woke up, I had just been bitten in the face by a dog right here, right by my eye. And it was like a miracle that the dog didn't get my eye. And blueberries are, particularly bilberries, if they're wild blueberries, are very good for your eyes. And I wake up, and there's a woman floating next to my bed, and she's kind of from the 1800s, I think. and wearing a dress and got her hair up in the poofy bun thing. And she's holding a tray of what looked like little teeny, like little muffins, but they weren't little muffins. They were like little muffin tops almost. And they were blueberry muffin tops. They weren't cookies, but they were like muffin. I could tell they were like muffin tops. And I looked at it and I was like, I went back to sleep. Like, thank you for sharing. What's that got to do with me? And then I could feel her again. So I woke back up and she's there again. And this time she takes blueberries and she sprinkles them across the tray. And I'm like, something about blueberries. Got it. And so thankfully I have a friend of mine who can talk to spirits a little more clearly than I can. And she told me that I have a past life relationship with this woman. She's the woman, I cannot think of her name besides Wendy, that the stories of Peter Pan, the guy that wrote it about his best friend Wendy, who had her own kids and all that stuff. So it's that woman. I somehow have a past life connection to her, and that's who that was. And she was basically saying, and she said bilberries. That's right, she said bilberries. And I knew that bilberries were wild blueberries, but apparently she was saying, these are good for eyesight. Eat these to heal your eye. There you go.
That's awesome. Blueberries, wild blueberries are amazing.
Yes, they are. That's one of my weird stories.
That's so cool.
I have many.
Many.
Yeah, because I it's like Grand Central Station in my bedroom. So. Well, apparently it's the house now. I thought it was just that bedroom, and then I switched bedrooms, and that dude came out of the wall, and I was like, "It's not the house, it's me." Got it. Okay.
They like your light, Jen.
I guess so.
They're like, this chick can see us. I'm gonna go check her out.
Right. Or most of the time,
Everybody else, come with us.
Yeah. Most of the time they've got a message for me, but sometimes they're either there for help or they got lost. Like a lot of times it's they didn't mean to come through to my house and they're like, oh crap, where am I? And I have to help them. I've had some kind of heartbreaking ones, like kids, when children pass away. That's hard to when I see the kids that have passed away, but any number of reasons. But a lot of the time, most of the time, it's a message. Other times they're just like, oops, whoops, just passing through. And they do exactly that.
I used to have this in my old house. There was this little, I think she was a little girl, but she'd wear like this t-shirt like that was too big for her. And she'd skip through the house and she would say, Mommy, Mommy. And then sometimes when my husband was awake, she would say, Daddy, Daddy. And so it would freak us out. We'd be like, what is, we'd go check our kids and they'd all be sleeping in pajamas, not in a t-shirt. So we'd be like, what is going on? And then one day my daughter Angelica and I was sitting on the bed and we were talking, and all of a sudden it was like it whirled around the room and it's saying ring around the rosies, pocket full of posies, really creepy. And then ashes, we all fall down. And it was really warped sounding. And her and I looked at each other, the hair stood up on our arms, and we looked at each other and we went, we'll never tell anybody that.
And you just did.
Yeah, they probably don't believe me. But it was so crazy. I mean, we both went, yeah, we're not telling anybody that.
I know, but I mean, one time that when I was still in my beginning stages of, really kind of working with my guides and stuff, and they were, and this was still when I've never had anything. I wasn't even doing paranormal. I mean, watching some of the shows and things, but I wasn't, around things that I was aware of. And I remember one night before bedtime, I was still in a one level apartment with my wife, and she was in the bathroom because there was only one, and so she was doing her stuff and getting ready for bed, and I went to the kitchen for something, and I was at the sink. I don't know if I was getting water or whatever, but all of a sudden it felt like somebody was tapping me on the back, and I'm just like, still finishing up what I was doing at the sink, and I was like, what, trying to like, just, what do you want? I mean, you're right there to say something. I'm like, what? And finally I'm like, what? And I turn around real quick and there's nobody there. And I went real quick because it was real close to the kitchen. I look over and bathroom light still on, doors closed. I'm like, Okay. Finally, that was when I was, keeping track of everything that was going on spiritually wise, whether it was weird or not. And I realized it was them because they just did weird things like that just to make sure that I didn't, forget because, I committed to it. I was going to work with them from now on. And so they would make sure that if I was slacking a little bit, they would do something profound where, oh, sorry, I'll do better tomorrow. But that was like, I hate to say it was paranormal, but it was such a defined, somebody pokes you in the back. I mean, you can't mistake, that you nothing's there. And I'm like, oh, but it never happened again. But again, it was always weird things, whether they would appear that I would see them, funny part is, sometimes you're in the bathroom and things like that, and you're just taking care of it, and they would all of a sudden just start popping up. So I just see all these bright little orbs floating around. Like, yeah, this is a perfect time to meet me, but I guess it makes sense because I'm not, focused on too much at the moment. But you see all these dancing lights. I'm like, okay, gotcha, guys. Or my other fun part is where they would move things on my nightstand. And I would go and I would look, and like sometimes it'd be like, chapstick or something, and I'm like, okay, I got it. My bad, my mistake. Please put it back. And then sure enough, I'd go back, whatever amount of time later, and then it was sitting right there again. Like, okay, I got you guys.
That happened to us for quite a while, and it hasn't happened for a while. And I don't know. I think somebody was messing with us. My husband would say that in the pole barn, like stuff would be missing, and then like you'd turn around, it'd be right there. I did that for quite a while too. I just heard it was my grandfather. He liked to do that to my grandma. I remember her talking about it after he died. She'd walk in and like all the doors were open and all the cupboards were open in the kitchen, and she'd be like, "Oh, Mike, stop playing." I didn't even scare her. I would have been like, "Holy crap!" until like a few years ago when I started really like doing this stuff.
Yeah. That old house that we lived in, anytime I wasn't there, the kids said that the cupboards would slam and the dishes would be rattling. They'd be doing all kinds of stuff. And I go, that's because you let them make you afraid.
Right.
You just said you have to go. But they said, every time you're not here, Mom, that's what happens. I go, well, that's because they know I'm going to tell them to go. They're not supposed to be there.
Mom is going to unleash the fury when she gets home.
Mama knew what she was doing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, when you're in fear though, when you live in fear and you're in fear of those things, I mean it accelerates.
Oh,
big time.
Like,
yeah.
You have to really kind of stand your ground and not give in.
And that's the type of stuff. That's why Debbie doesn't want to go too much, because they know she's got a little bit of fear in her. So they make sure they're going to like jump on her, so to speak.
Yeah.
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 Much.
Yeah.
All mediums are not paranormal. I'm just going to say.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and everybody does different things. That's what I was saying. Like, not everybody wants to do that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
It's not comfortable for most people. Most people look at me and are like almost scared of me because I'm like bringing the light and transmuting stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm not a bad person. I'm right in the light. That's what I'm, it's like, I do get that. I do get people they're like, oh, you do this scary stuff. And I'm like, but I'm bringing in a team of angels with me, like what's wrong with that? So, know what I mean? But a lot of people are, and I don't blame them for being comfortable with that. I wouldn't have been comfortable with that until the only reason that I ended up starting to do that stuff is because they started coming at me. Like I was doing, as a matter of fact, that was the first time that I had something happen to me, as I was doing Reiki on somebody at a show. And it's like I ran my hand over her energy and this thing came right at me. And I was like, holy shit. Like, holy shit. And thank God I kind of knew what to do, because I had already taken some classes on what to do, but I had never seen anything like that. And so it's like spirit just threw me in. They do that. They're like, okay, well, you're ready or not, here you go. And here we're throwing 5 of these things at you at once. So yeah, this lady had one, then had another one, and I transmuted it. Then it had another one that came out, transmuted it. another one came up, transmuted, and I was like, holy crap, dudes, come on. Like, seriously? What the heck just happened to me? And so, like, I didn't even have an option. It was more like self-preservation when I did that. And then I was like, and then it just kept going from there. Adam, I bet all of us were probably the same way. Like, I didn't think that stuff even existed. And then it came running at me.
Yeah.
I always knew it existed because I was born wide open, and they would be standing at the end of my bed all night, every night, and nobody believed me. I'd be running, little kid running to my mom, crying and carrying on, and nobody wanted to believe me. Or they would just tell me that, no, it's your imagination, go to sleep, because they wanted me to shut it out. And so I always knew that things went bump in the night from the day I was born. And that wasn't fun.
You know, I could feel things. I remember being scared to death. I was scared to death. I had a shadow man that chased me in my dreams all growing up. And it ended up being kind of like what Jen was talking about. It ended up being when this is when I learned how to stand up for myself. I was scared, ran from it all those years in my dreams. And it was like, I just thought it was my dreams, but it was a real thing. And I finally got, I was like 40 years old, and I finally stood up to it and went, wait a minute, you don't have any control over me. And the minute I did that, it stopped. It really stopped. But I mean, that thing was choking me out at night. It was suffocating me at night. I mean, I'm not playing, this was messed up.
Yeah.
And so it got worse and worse as I got older. And then once I learned how to stand up and say, no more, I'm tired of this bullshit. And you're going, no, you're going away. And I literally, it did. It's like it literally just like dissolved when I said that.
Now here's a question then. So interesting that I'm the only male in the room, but what is something that's always been curiosity for me, especially when we go or we work at some of the holistic events, there's always a lower amount of men that are in it. And it's interesting is like hearing stories like that where a lot of you ladies have had such profound experiences growing up, and does it, I guess, in a way, has this confidence that you end up building upon yourselves done more for your life than if you never went down that path then? Because obviously, you wouldn't be doing the things you're doing nowadays. I mean, that's probably safe to say. But it's interesting and I'm not, of course, I'm not putting down anything, on anybody, but it's interesting to see that the ones that do stand up for themselves finally have that confidence to go and take on the world, which is great. And I always wondered why there's always more women doing it versus the men. Not that there isn't any, but why is it? Is it just because it's just kind of hokey and weird or it, what? But I'm always fascinated why there's always so many more females in the industry.
I think that I think that men are so, since the day that they're born, they're telling them that don't be sensitive, don't cry, you're not to be afraid, you're strong. If you hurt your knee, just get up and wipe it off, and they give you so many filters. Right. And when you're doing this kind of work, you have to be sensitive to you have to be, knowing of everything around you, be sensitive to your feelings, be sensitive to what you're getting, your essence, and everybody else's energies. And so if you're trained to bottle that up and keep it inside, then how would it's harder for you to break out into that free energy, into that flowing energy. And I mean, that's just one reason that I think maybe it happens, because they just aren't in that sensitive atmosphere from the get-go. They keep trying to desensitize you right from the beginning. So that might be part of it, because you have to have a mix of the masculine and the feminine in order to do this work. So I'm thinking maybe that's what it is you guys get so imbalanced to the masculine side that it's hard for you to open up and be with spirit and be with your heart, because that's part of it.
I like it. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think what I'm getting to is men are also so busy trying to put food on the table and work And they just, a lot of men just don't have time. Like my hubby's out in the pole barn half the night. You know, he's he's starting to come into his own. It's really exciting, by the way, with spiritual stuff. But anyway, and then the other thing is a lot of, you know, women, in naturally, just because we're the female, we have so much of the female, and we're the mothers. We're the
That's
more,
another thing that comes in.
not more nurturing, but we're just like that naturally. And it kind of reminds me of, you know, what Cryon said, that the women are, it's because we're used to the nurturing and that aspect, where we're kind of doing the same thing with others and helping them move through things. And so I think that's why a lot of that comes in. That was couple of the things. But, you know, guys are so, you know, just like what Bonnie said, they feel like they have so much pressure on them from society, and how we're kind of trained by our parents and by our teachers and everything, that, you know, the male female has to be a specific way, but it doesn't necessarily.
Right.
So
Mhm.
I think that's very accurate. And I think, you know, Kathleen, you kind of touched on it within certain cultures too. There were, in some cultures, women were the ones that their job was to commune with the spirits, do the rituals, like they were the seers, they were the psychics, they were the guides. But then in other cultures, they were male shamans, and they were the seers, and they were the healers, and they were the guides. And so I think it a lot of it has to do with what your Akash has in you. And what's waking up right now. But I think, Kathy, I think you've all kind of touched on it, where if you are, let's say you are a man and you are having paranormal experiences, or you're feeling things and you're sensing things, it's a whole lot harder as a man in our society to come forward and be like, I see weird shit, I feel weird shit, I'm sensing weird shit, because men are so much more looked down upon if you say anything that's out of the norm. Whereas women, it's easier to kind of pass it off a little bit. Oh, flight's a fancy of a woman. There is still that kind of stereotype with the male versus the female, and so it's almost like more acceptable for women to get in touch with the weird stuff, versus men. And of course, for us, when I'm interacting with a man and I know he's opened himself up to these gifts and abilities, and he's accepting them and working with them, I have so much more respect for that man to have allowed himself to open up to that and not be afraid of what other people might think and be public about it. Because even for us women, it takes a lot of guts to come out and be like, I see dead people and I talk to spirits and angels and I clear, demons, and I've been visited by aliens. It takes a lot of friggin' guts. But I think men are so much more chastised for that sort of thing than women are. So that's my opinion.
I have to give a shout out. I've been really behaving myself this show. Give a shout out to these cute little kids who are sitting there listening to our show.
Aww.
Those are my grandchildren.
Oh, they're so cute.
And my grandson wants to say how much I hate Fortnite. Right. So that's all I'm talking about. I mentioned it. I don't know if it was a dare or not, but I did it.
That's cute.
They were sitting in a restaurant because they have no power in California, and they're sitting in a restaurant eating and has their headphones in listening to the show.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
So
what's their names? So what's their names again?
Well, I want to say Parker Pie, but he'd kill me. Parker. We're in a little situation right now on Fortnite, so we're in a little argument right now. Okay. And then so I'm going to call him Parker Pie. And then we have Gabriella and Amelia.
Hi.
Hey guys.
Thank you for joining us.
Hopefully we're not scaring you.
Yeah, nothing more than their
Look at
mother,
who their grandparents are. We're not scaring them.
right? No kidding.
And Adam, I want to throw something else out on that whole subject we were talking about.
Sure.
I think a lot of guys are psychic and get all kinds of stuff. They just don't want to talk about it. They just don't
Yeah.
talk about it because
Yeah.
I think a lot of them don't understand it, and they're like, I got to be macho. You know what I mean? Is that true? Do you think, Adam? Do you think that's true? And they're just like, I don't understand what's happening. Like, I can't
I don't believe that because I can't stay quiet any longer.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Well, I'm not sure I'm allowed to go for it at this point, but how do I say this? Not like I did to Adam, but so how do I say this? Like,
I mean, you could
Just say it.
just or twist it enough to where you can't tell where it's coming from.
right. Somebody got a hold of me today and their coworker wants to be a part of my life, so to speak. He is my age and he is experiencing mediumship abilities, and he's very curious and which was very strange because they were talking about it in a situation where they shouldn't have been talking about it at work. And so he's very anxious, from what I'm understanding, to get to know a little bit more about the paranormal and his abilities and open up to his thing, I guess you would say. So it was pretty shocking to me because I've told this certain somebody that he is not to speak of my abilities at all ever in his line of work, but he continues to do so. And now I feel like I'm being fixed up with this man who is, oh, you like this guy. You really like him. You really will. I'm thinking, okay, why are you doing this? So I think men will talk about it if they start hearing, like if somebody around them is talking about it, I think that they will come out and they'll say, well, I've had some things happen. I've had some abilities for somebody just to open up and say it blatantly, a male. I mean, I'm around some pretty interesting males that I love men mediums. I love them. I love you too. But I do, because they're so genuine and they're so like caring. And there's another certain guy that's a medium that I am dragging by the ears to come to our Parafest because I want him to be involved in it. But it's like there's not enough. There's just not enough men involved, I think. And I would love to see more men get involved in it. So any male that comes near me that says, oh yeah, I have some, I'm like, come on, let's do this. Let's figure this out and let's get you involved, because I'm all about that. I'm all about it.
I got a great
Awesome.
title for that though.
Yeah.
Mediumship matchmaker.
Ooh.
That's good.
This is not good, because this person is my husband, number one, that is hooking me up with these men. So I'm like, let's say it like it is.
It's he's helping out your business. He's giving you exposure. And what's cool though is you can help these guys.
Yeah.
True. And that was my big thing. The minute he said that, like, I was angry because I did tell him never ever speak about what I do, and he does constantly, just blah 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 blah. It's like, please don't. But there's recordings in your area of work. You don't need to be talking about what I do. Let's get that straight right now. But he can't help it. He's just like, I think he's in awe of everything that we do, and I think that he's just like, he himself can't believe it. So he just looks for anybody to listen to him and say, oh yeah, this, you know, it's just like, dude, come on, man.
And as I told her too, I said, at least having somebody that is proud of what you're doing and supports what you're doing. I mean, how great of a partner is that? To be able to, speak highly of you because of what you do and the impacts that you do make for so many others out there.
Amen.
Yeah. I mean, it's just,
it's odd. It's odd. Yes.
It is odd. It is odd. I felt like he was fixing me up with this guy. Like, that's what I felt like. I was just like, I mean, okay, I think you guys will really hit it off. And I think that you'll really like him. And I think, and I'm sitting there going,
what?
And I'm married to you.
I know. I'm like,
what's happening?
What is going on here? I was gonna give him your phone number and all the cozy corner and this and that and this. And I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute now. Let me get this straight, because this is really kind of freaking me out a little bit. I am not ready to hook up with anybody. Let's just right now. So yeah, it was just really strange. But I think that when he found a guy, that he knows that Adam and I have such a good relationship that it's like he just wants this other person to feel accepted in our world. And I'm positive that's what it's about, because he's never come out. He's never, really done anything. He's done a few readings, but it'll be interesting to see how this rolls, because he's like, did Tom call you? I don't even know his name. Did Tom call you yet? And I'm thinking, does he have my number to call? I mean,
evidently
no,
he does.
Called me yet. I mean, you guys are like on a break right now, so he should be talking to like his part of his life, not me. So we'll talk, but maybe when he's not at work. So yeah.
It would be amazing if that phone rang right now.
Shut up. Somebody actually just texted me right now.
Oh, well, see?
But it wasn't him.
Psychic thing. It's a psychic thing.
So funny.
I do agree though, Debbie, that you mentioned our world, and it is so funny because we can all relate to each other,
right?
But if you're talking to someone who's not familiar with it or thinks it's bunk, it's like trying to describe the smell of the color 9.
Yeah, it is. And when you find your tribe, it's like, oh, like I consider you guys my tribe. So yeah. I run with you guys. I talk to you guys. I don't really have much else going on with friendship wise. I have to be around like-minded people. That's it just keeps me sane and grounded. So for me, if I can bring somebody else into that circle, I'm all for it. Bring them in, but come on. I mean, just don't act like you're trying to fix me up with this guy. All I can think of is, am I spending that much money that you're getting rid of me? I mean, what in the heck is happening here? I mean, okay. I mean, yeah, we'll see.
So funny.
I'll have to talk to him tonight when he calls, because that really kind of, I don't know, it was kind of weird. But it was kind of cute though, because the guy said to him, wait, I'm getting a vision of your wife. And he's like, is she dark hair and dark skin? Right? And white hair, white skin. And so I'm like, yeah, that's what I said. and then it dawned on me, dude, do you have a girlfriend? This guy is right on the nose. He knows what he's talking about. So I've been harassing him. I'm like, what is her name, this dark-haired, dark-skinned woman that you're hanging out with? Because this guy is really good. Yeah, he's not loving that. He's not loving it.
He's not going to live it down, huh?
Not, and I think he's learning a real big lesson right now.
Yeah. That's so
I tell you
funny.
what, it was kind of scary because I worked in a hospital and I've now quit my job. Yay, so I'm
Yes,
doing.
congratulations.
Thank you.
I was going
And
to congratulate you earlier and I,
oh,
what happened?
oh, that's okay. Thank you. So it's been awesome, but I, for the longest time when I first went out, and like what Jen was saying, it's scary. I was scared to death. I thought I'd get fired. I thought I'd get fired for going out and saying, and then like family, you never know, like nobody really says anything to me about it. Just like
Yeah.
you never know how people are gonna perceive you when you come out, come out of the woodwork and say, hey, I'm a medium, I'm a psychic, I'm a whatever, blah blah blah, just like what Jen said. And it's daunting. But
I know.
people are opening up so much more. And I have a family member who's a social worker, and that person told me, like, you would be surprised how many people told me their stories about the paranormal that
Oh, I
would never
bet.
tell anybody else, that would never tell anybody
Yeah.
else. And
Yeah.
and quit thinking people are going to think you're crazy, because they're going to say, there's a couple people who are like, oh, whatever. And then the rest of them are like, that's really cool. Can you tell me some more? So
Yeah.
they're opening up so much more, and it's so cool. They're opening up because they're experiencing things.
Well,
And
most
so-
everybody has a story to tell, more than
Yeah.
one,
We
they
have
just
so
don't
many.
talk about it.
When I used to do events, and I mean, like I did events a lot back in the day, and I would do readings for large people in libraries and all kinds of things, because that was something that was a big thing back then. And I was so booked with all these dang libraries and going there. And I had one that I went to in Albion, and there's probably 30-40 people there. So I was doing a group reading for everybody, and I walked over to this one space, and it was an empty chair, and I'm like, there is a male spirit here, and I'm not I don't understand what's happening, but he's just confused, and he doesn't know what's going on. And so I just kept going on and on about this male spirit, and the lady that was sitting in the chair next to her said, oh, I know who that is. And his wife moved over to that seat over there in the front, and she wasn't like a believer in any of this. So his energy was still by this chair, because that's where she was sitting. And I started reading, and it was being televised. So I'm usually really careful about that kind of thing, but she was a total non-believer. She did not believe in any of this. And she told me that point blank. And she was, her husband had passed away months prior, and he was very sick. He had asthma. He died suddenly. He was very overweight. And so I started explaining what he looked like and who he was and what was going on. Boy, she went into two hysterics. Like, she was just hysterical, like literally could not calm down. And I had to like beg these people to please cut the feed, because I didn't want this on camera. That was just I felt like it was really irresponsible of me to just keep going and going,
Yes.
to stop immediately. And so after we got her calmed down, and it was at the end of the show and everything, whatever it was a show. But she came to me and she's like, I never believed in any of this, and it just really just changed my whole life that you were able to speak with him. And he said he forgived her and all this stuff. And she stayed in contact with me for a long, long time. And she even came to visit me at my house, and just was so grateful, like forever grateful. We've lost touch because it's been several years, probably 6 or 7 years since we've been in touch, and I don't know what happened. But it's like, when you find somebody that you like can like have that reaction, and what a profound moment, like that's how I feel like when somebody's coming out of me, you know, I always like to say out of the closet, because that's kind of how I felt. I was in the closet for a long time. I'm still in the closet for most of myself, but I I don't come out a lot doing my mediumship because I have family members who are very against it. So I don't talk about it on my Facebook page. I don't share my Beyond the Silence radio page on my Facebook page because of my family. But that's the kind of people that make you not want to come out with this. And it's like, when you can, and she was one of those people, non-believer, no, you know, just like that. But when you find somebody that you can mentor, or I mean, take them under your wing, like seriously, because it is so important to have that relationship with somebody who has no clue what they're doing. And or you find somebody who doesn't believe in it, and then you suddenly impact their life like that. It's God, it's just, there's just so many emotions that go on with all this, you know. So that's the end of my story now.
Yeah.
I'm done.
And it's neat how, for someone who doesn't believe in any of it, she was there anyway. Now, granted, she may have been dragged along.
She was.
But
Yeah.
she was, and everything happens for a reason. So this is kind of, but this obviously happened for a reason.
Right.
Does. But it's so fascinating how that happens, where, you know, she was supposed to hear what you had to say and supposed to hear from her husband, and
right.
You know, not only did it grant her that enormous amount of emotional healing, but now her perception of life and the universe and dimensions has completely altered.
Exactly. It was to me too. You know, when it was fascinating for me on a different realm, because it's once I've done these readings. Now, she's an exception. She never came back to me for another reading. Never. But once I do these readings, I can, it's like I never really have to do another one. And it's really bizarre. Like, I always expect people to come back again, but most of them, they don't. They're just content with what I did. And then you know, I mean, they could be seeking out other people. Who knows? I don't know. But I just like that most of the time they don't come back, which means I did my job. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know. I say to anybody under your wing that you can, to mentor, because there needs to be more people like us. Probably I need to come out of the closet a little more to my Facebook page. But 90% of the people on my page I've done readings for.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about it. It's freaking amazing. Nobody talks about it.
Debbie, and you are giving somebody something that is so amazing, that, you know, I think a lot of people can look down on it, but I think more people are starting to open up to it. And so
yeah,
what you're doing is you're giving them that peace of mind that they really needed, even if they didn't even know it, you know. And
right.
It's so healing. It helps them heal on like so many levels, you know.
Yeah.
And
I love that we can all do that to people in different ways. I mean, we all can, every one of us on this freaking chat right now can give somebody something that they needed, and they were put in your path for a reason. And that's what's so remarkable when you work in the light. You know, when you work in the light, you always do the right thing, and you bring that healing to people. If you don't work in the light and you deceive people, you don't have that connection. You don't have that, you know. I don't know. It's such a fine line for me.
Yeah.
If people realized how amazing it is to be connected with the divine, holy crap. When we don't know it, you kind of feel like crap a lot of the time. But once you realize that you are connected to source, and you learn how to connect, holy holy crap, you
I
know, like it's
know.
amazing. And
Right.
Well, I know I
more
personally,
people need.
when it comes to the whole death thing, I mean, as a kid, it was like the scariest thing in the world. It's like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. But it's like, if my time is tomorrow, I'm okay with it. I
Right.
really have such a deep appreciation for everything and know enough, not everything, but know enough to where
Mhm.
I kind of have a good idea of what to expect. And so I'm not worried. And it's weird too, is that even like funerals, when somebody, passes away, there's like, a little bit of tears and things like that. But at the same time, there's not what you would probably have been, before you've gotten into this field. Yes, I mean, people that are close, it's still sad to see someone go, but
Sure.
um I've noticed that, my emotions are a lot different because I understand where they're headed. And so, and there's always another way to, if we really want to talk to them, we can do that when it's the right time. But
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of, if my life is about over, then okay, I mean, I'm
Mhm.
cool. But I guess I'm more excited to see what it is. Not that I'm in a hurry, but I am pretty comfortable with it.
I think if you watch somebody, and I've said this a million times, anybody who's ever listened to me at all, if I have been honored to be at the death of several people, in my life. And it really is one of the most amazing things you could ever see in your entire life if you're paying attention. Um, you will see people who are near death. They're pointing, they're, even if they can't speak, they're always pointing towards the ceiling or pointing and seeing their loved ones coming. I've heard stories of people, and these are people that have told me the story, not like third hand stories or anything, but they've come to me and said, I was sitting in my mom's room, and she said, I literally saw a flash of light come down to my mom, and then my mom passed away. I'm telling you, that is one of the most peaceful things I have ever seen in my entire life. And it's one of the most comforting things to watch them pointing, because you're wondering, what in the heck are they looking at? Well, they're looking at their family members. They're all waiting. They're excited, waiting. Come on, hurry it up, will you? So it's not a sad thing. It is for us humans left behind, because as humans, we're selfish people. We want to keep all our people with us all the time instead of letting them go to the light in their great, dimension that they're going to. Um, when you are witnessing a death and you tell somebody, okay, it's okay to go, if they're holding on and holding on, they listen, they can hear you, they will go, they will actually leave their physical body and go, because it's okay. You have to give them that reassurance that it's okay. It's not, don't be afraid, just go. It's okay. So it's quite an amazing thing, honestly. I mean, I can only say that I have been so blessed to be able to witness these things. Um, so I don't know. I don't know if any of you ever witnessed it, but I'll tell you, it's amazing.
It is. Real quick, Margaret has a message for Adam that says, poor Adam has been stuck with me for a couple of years. And as he will tell you, my husband and father are with me all the time.
Yeah. Yep.
Aw.
Yeah, Margaret's a dear client of mine, and she's always checking in, and always asking for a reading and stuff, because
Mhm.
she really really loved her husband. And so,
Mhm.
and it's weird because even the first time that I did my first reading with her, of course I have no idea who's coming through. I have no idea. I didn't have a lot of information. And then it was fascinating that when his humor, his mannerisms and things started coming out, and then she's sitting there, we were on the phone, and she's cracking up, and she's like, oh my God, that's exactly what he would do. And so I was like, really? Because I mean, I'm like just trying to mimic what he was doing, but this is what he's showing me. And so it's always been interesting when you can touch on those things with them, and things you had no idea, and then now they are coming through, and it just matches who they are. And there's been a lot of situations that we've worked on as far as key information in her life right now. And her husband's not afraid to say the truth, so yeah, Margaret's amazing. And she's even herself is working on opening up more.
Oh,
So I actually do have to applaud her, and that's why I'm calling, giving her a little shout out that she
Yeah.
is working on it. And even with me going to say a little bit that, she's been learning how to really stand up for herself at home, because she has had activity that, I've had to work on, getting some stuff out and kind of cleansing it. She's now standing up a little bit more. She's got those broad shoulders and she's taken the reins. And so it's been kind of fun to watch this year a little bit that she's like, yeah, I worked on this and I kind of did some cleansing and now the house is quiet. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
So
I love it when people, I say this a lot too. Everybody has an ability. Everybody does. You open up yourself and you ask what your abilities are. You have to learn to accept it and then look for a mentor. Honestly, that is like the best advice that I can give anybody. I'm kind of a harsh mentor. Like I do yeah, I am like I will take somebody and I mean I'm not like I don't even know how to explain how I deal with people. Actually,
read right now.
I am a
Give me a
little
reading
harsh.
right now.
That's what I do. I like I will plan a gig and I will probably lie to you and tell you that I'm going to go do a reading and you need to come along and watch. And then I throw you out there and I say, this is your gig tonight. You have a group reading of 20 people, go. And that's the only way that you're going to gain your confidence. It really is. I mean,
You're like the mama bird throwing them out of the nest. Get out.
Exactly. And
You
that
better
is
fly.
right. And I did it to Adam. I've done it to several people and these people have flourished. I mean, you have to me, it's like, you got to step off the cliff if you want to make the dive. So go. What better way to do it? I'm right here. I'm not going to let you fail. I'll do readings right along with you, which I did with Adam. And yeah, I I'm sorry.
No, but
I mean,
but it's helpful. It was helpful. And because I kept thinking, oh, well, there's just this perfect stair step approach to everything. And we're going to do this right now. And then once I do really good at that, we'll go to the next step. And it was like, well, no, we're going to kind of just take a couple steps real quick. And now we're going to jump. So you kind of like everything catches up to it. But looking back, I mean, I totally understand it now, because at the time I was scared shitless, because who wants to be thrown right out when you don't feel like you're ready yet, even though it's there, the information's right.
If I didn't know that you could do it, I would have never, ever done that though. Right. I had so much more confidence in you than you had in yourself.
True.
And I knew that once I got started, that you would pick right up just like that. And you did. You did. You were phenomenal. So I mean, for me, it was like, job done. You're on your own. You've got your wings, go. And that's what we did. I thought that was like, I mean, you took off right away.
Yeah. Well, it's just, you gave me that push that was perfect, because it's like, okie dokie, here, and then you realize when you got through, especially the first gallery reading, or solo gallery reading, really. So I was all excited. I'm like, I'm working with her. This will be great. Wait a minute. I'm doing the only thing here. Crap.
Oh my God.
I've read everybody in this room. Damn.
I did too. I made sure it was a room full of people I had already read. So, hey, you know what? This is your chance to shine. And you did.
Yeah. There was stuff
where
that came up.
Where did Kathleen go?
She's like,
She fell over.
I am
done. Okay, that's my chair. I was like, hold on, this is my poofy chair. And I on the edge of it. No, I'm not freaking.
Apparently, we're throwing her back into the closet. That's how much this conversation is going.
Don't worry, I haven't set anything up for you yet. Don't.
Like, oh crap! It's scary though, getting up in front of a bunch of people, but
It is. It is.
But after you're done, you have this total euphoria of just, wow, I cannot believe I just did that. I cannot believe I did that. And it's like, and you did it. So to me, it works. And
It does.
I do that to a lot of people.
Actually, Rochelle did it to me in that last show.
Yeah,
she was like, get up there, do a mediumship reading. I'm like, oh shit, okay. And I did.
She did an awesome
but
job.
I didn't read
too.
the whole room. I just did a couple, and I was like,
yeah, but you
I
did
got
an
something,
awesome
thank
job.
God.
Right.
I don't know if it was accurate, but I got it at the time.
but she said you did an awesome job. So
Good.
You know what? That's a confidence booster right there. It just makes you feel like, oh my gosh, I did it. I can do it again. I can do this again.
Yeah.
And she did. She turned around and did a show, and she read everybody that came over to her in this little group thing. Yeah.
So so some of us know what we're talking about, don't we?
I know.
Anybody else want to be involved in mediumship? Just give me a call. I will throw you out there too.
Tell them about the exploding ashtray.
Oh my God. I don't know if I remember it all, but oh God. I'm not going to remember the whole thing. Trying to remember. See, I'm not going to remember the whole thing.
They're fun though.
Yeah. I can't remember the entire story. See, this is, I think I was talking to Debbie earlier, but this is the crazy thing about it is like the more you do this and the more clients you pick up, you start to forget a lot of the little stuff and certain aspects. And I'm like that. I'm like, I remember the ashtray, but now I just cannot remember all the details for it and things. So it's like, but
isn't that funny?
Well, it's just kind of how it is. Like if you're only doing it once in a while, maybe you would remember it more. But
right.
But it's been a couple of years, and so I just don't remember all of it to know. But
I think that happens. It also happens with because I work in Akashic Reads, and some of these stories are like, whoa, and really profound, and you don't remember it after a while, and you'll have a client repeat, and they're like, you remember the one I had before, and you're like, fill me in.
Yeah.
Right.
You go through so many of them.
Yeah, and if it's obviously something really over the top, like big time major that you don't forget it, but then there's like some little things because I've had so many things with her in particular that I'm trying to remember which one is this, which one is that, I'm like, but I know her husband was a smoker, and I'm wondering if that was one of those moments where we were hitting on something, or where it was, before a reading and it happened. It was something to that effect, but it just proved a lot of things, and it was like, okay, yep, that's right.
Yeah.
But
well, he was probably validating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it is true. My husband's like, yeah, I told Tim or Tom or whatever his name is. He's like, I told them that you were about Aunt Eva and everything. And I'm like, what about Aunt Eva? I don't remember about Aunt Eva. So it's even with family members. I don't remember everything because so much happens.
I call it psychic amnesia because it's not, that's what I call it, because if it's not for me, if the message isn't for me, my brain dumps it. Yeah. And so when I do a session and they get a message, a channeled message, I have to give the channeled message first as soon as I get back with the client. Otherwise, after I get through everything else, that message is gone from my mind because it's not mine. It's not for me. So,
yeah. It's in and out. That's how it should be. You get a message, in and out.
Yeah.
When you're channeling, that stuff comes through so fast that you're just like, it's like word vomit. You're just like, blah, 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 blah. Where did that come from? Like you just start talking and you're like, I don't even know where that came from. And you just keep going. And then if I'm lucky to kind of remember sometimes. Oh, and Margaret says there was something unsettling going on in my house. And I went to sage my house. I was writing out a prayer to say while I saged, and the heavy glass ashtray I'd had the sage in exploded. is what she said.
Right.
And while
Oh.
that was going on, a heavy shelving unit in my basement was knocked over from the wall side of unit.
Yeah. Yeah, she had some pretty crazy stuff, and I mean, and her husband, and her parents and things, were trying to do what they could to kind of get this other darker entity that seemed to be in the house, at bay, but they just weren't having the upper hand. So I mean, I kind of went in there, shoulder to shoulder with them, and so we kind of did enough to get rid of it. But yeah, it was being a little, and so we had to work a little bit on that one. But yeah, that's kicking back in my memory again. So
Well, it's just like what Bonnie was talking about, the one I'm like, wait, I can't remember. Like it wasn't. And
Yeah,
then,
Right.
and then she said something and I'm like, oh, yep. Okay. And I'm good. I got you.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You always remember it all. There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of so many stories throughout time, that
Yeah.
we're looking into and telling the story about and stuff like that.
Or if it's a case that, like, the one that I had that made it on TV and stuff like that. I mean, I was 3 times, doing remote viewing for that case. So you can't help but, it's the same thing over and over again. So that is one that you always stick in your head because of how much I had to do before it finally was the end result of getting rid of it. So,
Mhm.
the more you do it, the more you're working with it. And then, so if it's just a one and done deal, yeah, it's easy to forget, all the little stuff. You might remember the case in general, but yeah, anything small and the
Right.
ashtray, it sounded familiar, but it was just like, I don't remember exactly what happened there, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it is hard to get the details. You were talking about, how Margaret, since you've had to learn to kind of stand up to these things, that it builds your confidence. And I think Kathy, you were talking about that too. And I know Adam, you were the one that brought that up about Margaret. And that's so true. I am so grateful for every attack from childhood up, because it's what taught me that really they don't want me. Well, it's like, how do I say it? They don't want you to know your own strength. They want you to think that you're powerless. They want you to be afraid. They don't want you to know that you are an individuation of source, and that you are therefore an all-powerful being of a divine white light, and nothing and no one has power over you save that which you allow. And so once you, through practice from all of these different attacks, learn how to not be afraid, because you're all powerful and you know what to say to make them go away. And it really does build your confidence, because now when something tries something, you just say what you're whatever it is you might say to make it go away. But
Mhm.
you feel no fear, and it does carry over into your daily life. I think. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not saying I'm totally fearless, but I do think it does bring out a lot of confidence, not only spiritually but personally, because it's like, if I can stand up to a dark friggin' negative entity, I think I can start to stand up to someone like a narcissist or a bully, because they're, in some ways kind of similar,
Mhm.
It's
Yep.
it's really about doing your shadow work and overcoming those things where you kind of find the love in yourself to be able to push forward, and kind of like standing up for yourself and standing in your own light. So it's like a changeover of your whole energy field. It's kind of why we go through that stuff. I feel, like it's really about learning who you really are.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
maybe before that, like I didn't really know, like I had no clue, I had no clue that I am, connected to the divine or any of that kind of stuff. And then once you learn it, you're like, whoa, this is amazing, like,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
I have, we all have abilities. We all have amazing abilities, and it's
I
God given.
And I remember, as a child, and this might seem, really corny and stuff like that, but when it's your birthday, you're always supposed to make a wish. And I will never forget, for a number of years in a row, which is funny because you think about it now of what I was doing, but every time, I'd make the wish, I'm like, I always wish I had superpowers. I want superpowers,
Mhm.
because you see the superhero movies and stuff. I want a superpower. I want a superpower, and I'd say it every year, not realizing that possibly at that point in time I was putting an intention out there then now look what I do. You know,
Mhm.
not that it's a superpower, but at the same time, it's just an ability to, help others and restore peace and joy and give them comfort and things. And so it's that's way better than having some type of uh superhero power in a movie. You know what I mean? But I it was always funny how that worked out. But like I said, as soon as I realized that, I was like, damn, I didn't think I was doing something like that as a kid, but here it is. I was setting it from an early age, which is what, if there's something you do want, Debbie and I did it on our show weeks ago, power of the mind, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You have control. And if you really want something to work out, you got to put that intention out there, and you got to say it all the time and mean it. And then those things start to line up. And the next thing you know, it happens.
Yeah.
And you have a motorhome.
Right.
Yeah.
And what you did with the making the wish every year, really, for me, I'll call that spiritual foreshadowing. And I say that because you think that was your idea.
Right.
You think you came up with that on your birthday, and you say that every year, but what you don't realize is you were intuiting that idea, that future aspect of you, that if you maintain focus on that will manifest.
Right.
Lo and behold, so every, when you guys were having that conversation, I was like, God, I wish I'd have turned me on for that conversation. I was on my keyboard like, oh my God, that whole conversation. But it was such a wonderful, I love that you guys talked about the law of attraction, all that. Because all of the things that we manifest were already predetermined. It just wasn't predetermined as to whether or not that timeline would be the one that you put all that energy towards. But sort of not where yes, I wanted to go there, but tangent, and then I think I may have lost the tangent. Damn it! You had said something, and I wanted to go from there, but I can't think now what you said. But I was like, oh yeah, and then I friggin' lost it.
Okay, you have to forget about it. That's the key. If you lose your train of thought, you're supposed to completely think of a different subject, because
Think
then
of motorhome.
Right.
Motorhome.
I know what it was. Kids, when we were kids.
Told you it would work.
Yeah.
And then Kathy, you brought up, your childhood visitations and Bonnie yours. And I remember mine, and something I've kind of known it before, but I was reminded in this conversation that, when you're a kid and you're being attacked, or you're seeing, a lot of times in my case, it was either a flying skull coming into my room to terrify me, or it was a dark being that was trying to scare me, or I had an evil dad that was trying to lure me downstairs. But for me, in my dream, if I go downward, that's lowering my vibration. And so they're trying to bring my vibration down. And so as an adult, I can look back and I think the same is probably true for, if not all of us in this group, most of us, that the experiences that we've had that were negative and that were attacking and trying to scare us or pull down our vibrations, because they knew who we were going to become. So we were a threat to the consciousnness of the planet, essentially. And so it's just so interesting to look back and go, I see why they didn't want me to grow up and be who I am today. So it's just fascinating. And I am I speaking for the whole group when I say
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
I never had experiences when I was a child. My nightmare was real life. So my childhood was plagued with so many bad things that I think I lived through my nightmares that tried to drag me down. And, I could have let it drag me down. So many, I mean, how many of you have been kidnapped? Not me, I was kidnapped as a child, taken to the Japanese underground. I was
Oh my gosh.
I had 3 different sets of parents. Up until the age of 6, my life was complete chaos. And then my life became chaos again with the next set of parents. So I could have chosen to be a victim. I do have issues. I have a lot of anxiety and panic attacks.
Wonder why?
Yeah. So if I would have had I had the intuition ability, But had I had all that going on in my childhood with seeing spirits on top of all the other mess that I was involved in, I probably wouldn't be here sitting today because I would have never been able to survive it. Never. So
Well, how did you get free from your kidnappers?
well, it was my first mother who did that. She took me, she was Japanese, divorced my father, and took me into the Japanese underground and left me there. She worked at a hotel. She left me in the hotel room, and I was gone for a year before they found me. And things like that. I mean, I could let that eat me alive. I was taken away from her at the age of 5. I didn't see her again until I was 19 years old. Things like that would eat you alive. And having abilities on top of that, I probably did have abilities, but the abilities probably saved my life. I mean, that's what I could only guess, because you can't, how I survived all that, I don't know. However, I'm not a victim of my childhood by any means. I feel like I tell people the story and they're just like, oh my gosh, you should write a book. Oh my God, but I don't need to write a book. I just need to let people know who have had bad childhoods like I have had, that, you can survive it. It's survivable. You don't have to be angry all the time. You don't have to be depressed. You can be anything you put your heart to and be anything you want. You can. It is possible. I am living example of that. I would never be a victim of my childhood. That would be giving these people the power that I am not going to give them. I'm absolutely not. So, yeah, I suffer from panic attacks, anxiety. I don't like to be alone. I don't like to drive alone. I'm terrified of being alone. I was locked in a closet for several weeks. So I have terrible claustrophobia, but those are minor things that I deal with. The anxiety is not so minor, but the rest of it's livable. It's livable. So choose how you want to live your life and just live it. Just live it. If you want to be a medium, because you can be a medium. If you want to be a freaking astronaut, I don't care if you're 60 years old, be an astronaut. Just do it. It doesn't matter how old you are. Just put yourself out there and be what you want to be and be the person that you want to be, because you can. You can. End of my story now.
That's amazing. Yeah, that was amazing.
My darn story.
The story it is, my God, that's
Yeah, wow.
Well, it's quite a story. I mean, I don't tell it very often, but it is a pretty, my kids always told me they had such a bad childhood. I'd be like, yeah, let me hear about your horrible childhood.
yeah.
Let me tell you about mine here.
You didn't get ice cream last night? Is that what your problem is?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Says,
Yeah.
the reason this is bad is not so much me, because I can handle it, but the safety of my grandkids who come visit me. And she says, in my instance, the fear gets pushed back by the fact that I pray, and the natural defense of family kicks in. Call it mama bear if you want. You know what?
Mhm.
Whatever brings out your courage and whatever teaches you to face your fear and stand up.
Right.
So be it. Thank you for sharing that, Margaret.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
The mama bear's where I go.
Yeah.
That's where I go. I'm a mom of 2
You.
girls, and like lots of other kids and stuff like that, and friends and all that stuff. And I think that's where we all go. It's like
Yeah.
we just all go mama and papa bear.
Right.
I think everybody
We
agrees
do.
with that.
Yeah.
We do. I know
Yeah.
I do. I know I do. I am overly protective of my children, even at the age of 37, where my oldest is 37, and I am, somebody said what to you? Excuse me, I'll be on a plane tomorrow. I don't think so. You know, I am really protective of my children. I do not allow any kind of anything to go down. Yeah, they're kind
Yeah.
of afraid of me a little bit. They don't tell me a whole lot that goes on.
Yeah, they're afraid you'll be going and beating somebody up.
Oh, I've been known. I haven't beaten anybody up, but I've been known to, you know,
Your mind.
I've been known to scare the shit out of people. I mean, I'm not joking. One day my kids were all sitting in a van, and my oldest was like 15, and I had run into the store, and these girls were screaming out the car next to them, you know, F you, this, that, F this, F that. I got into the van, and I backed the van out, and they were telling me about this. And I said, oh, really? I turned the van around, and I pulled back in the parking lot, and I got out. And I wanted to scare them because my thought was they're going to say this to the wrong person one day, and I'm going to save them from that. And I scared these girls so bad. I mean, they were teenagers, and I was banging on the window. I said, roll this window down. I'm coming at you. And man, they're all like backed up on the back, the back seat, like way back from the window. I mean, they were terrified. And then not only did I do that, I mean, I was like a couple minutes of that. I walked into the store, and I'm like, who's the guy or woman who owns the kids in this car out in the parking lot? And then, you know, everybody's just like, oh my gosh, this lady is going to lose her mind. And I did. I told them, I said, you have the most disrespectful children I have ever met in my entire life. And I hope I scared them enough that they will never risk their lives talking the way they did to my children to the wrong person. I hope I saved one of your children's lives tonight. And I turned around and I walked out. I was.
You go, Mama Bear.
Yeah. I mean,
Full force.
right. Yeah. I don't know. People just don't know me very well. Adam's like, okay, well, next.
That's why I'm always on her good side.
Yeah.
I don't get on her bad side very it's very, very, very rare.
It was maybe one time.
I know, I was gonna say, I think I can think once, and I'm good. I'm good.
I don't have any problem telling people what I think.
Debbie, I do want to thank you for telling your story, though. That was an amazing story. And I think somebody might have really, you know, I think you're going to help some people with that story, you know.
I hope
A
so.
lot of people are stuck or, you know,
Yeah.
maybe stuck in a space like that. And I think you just helped somebody a lot. So thank you.
I
for
hope
talking
so.
about that.
I hope so. I mean, I feel so passionate about doing and being who you want to be, and never let somebody else dictate how you feel and what your life is going to be, because it will ruin you. It will ruin you. It really will. Be who you want to be. Look deep and just do what you want to do. Seriously.
Exactly.
You can achieve anything. And I tell that to the kids. Anything you want to be. My son thanked me today, which was shocking. He's 21 years old. He thanked me for letting him drop out of school. Yeah, I know. But he thanked me. He said, I don't think I've ever thanked you for that, for not giving me such a bad, you know, time about that. He was having anxiety and panic attacks. And I looked at him and I said, you know, I knew you were going to make something of yourself. I've always taught you that I don't care what happens. You can be whoever you want to be. If you want to be a loser laying in the ditch, you'll be a loser laying in the ditch. If you want to be a person who can, you know, thrive, and he is, he's making great money. He went back, he took his GED, passed every single GED test the first time, which I was shocked. And, you know, he has raised himself to that level. So for him to thank me for letting him drop out of school may sound really weird to a lot of people, but it was kind of like, to me, it was like, oh my gosh, he finally got it. He got it. Like, he listened to me. He knew that nothing can hold him back no matter what. Doesn't matter. He drops out of school. Go for your GED. reach for the stars. You can still do it. You can still do it.
Exactly.
You know?
I think
You don't have to do it the way everybody else does it. You go
Absolutely
your
not.
way, go
Right.
through your heart and what
Exactly.
makes you happy,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of miserable kids that their parents forced them to stay in school because that's what their parents did, and they just
Exactly.
think that's the right thing to do, and they're just miserable.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's true. Not, life doesn't have a life does not have a book of directions. Life does not have okay, so you have to do this, this, this in life, and then you can go on and do this, this, this. You don't, that's not how life is. And like, I've always told my kids, follow your heart. If something doesn't feel good to you, then move on, because you will find yourself. You will find yourself and you will make something. Every one of my kids have made something of themselves. I'm so proud of every single one of my kids, especially having a mother like me who had panic attacks, anxiety, couldn't leave the house for months and months and months at a time, like scared to drive them in a car for a mile. And I kept, it just like, they overcame a lot too. I mean, it wasn't easy being my kid at all, because, I was very overprotective. They never left my sight. I didn't care how old they were. I needed to know where they were at all times, and I didn't care. And they were overprotected. Another problem of my childhood. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you could see why though, because I mean, with you ended up being lost, you
Yeah.
would be afraid for your kids.
Right. Right.
Lost or
Right.
snatched.
Mhm.
I get it. Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
And I agree that nobody is obligated to meet society's standards.
No.
Who sat down and decided that you have to, finish high school, spend an enormous amount of money on a bachelor's degree, most of the classes in which that you've paid a lot of money for, the information in which you are never going to use when
I
you
know.
get your degree. And then
Mhm.
you get the degree because you're, 20 something, and
Right.
you think you know who you are. And 10 years down the road, you're miserable because now you've figured out who you are, and it ain't who, it has nothing to do now with what you're doing. So now you have to get
Right.
another degree or go in a totally non-degree based direction. There's
Right.
no one made this rule of you have to do these things and get married and have 2.5 kids and
Mhm.
make this money. I
Right.
went through that same thing, and it was really hard because there was a lot of pressure to either, you've got to meet these expectations and these
Mhm.
conditions. And
Yeah.
I was miserable every time I tried to go after, trying to make other people happy. And now I do really weird stuff.
As we all do.
It makes us happy.
Like, this is it.
Yay.
Oh, guys, you're
Yeah,
my
we find
tribe.
out who we really are, and we're really, really weird.
Yeah. Actually, we're the normal ones, okay?
I don't think there's any such thing as normal. Everybody's weird.
We're the one that we're just the ones that talk about it.
Exactly. 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 Well, I have to leave this lovely tribe of mine because I have to engage my husband, who is going to bed because he has to work in the morning very early.
No, that's fine. It's 8 o'clock.
It's 8 o'clock. It's
it's
late.
time
We
to
should
go.
get going. Do you guys want to talk real quick about how people can? Do you want anybody to contact you, Debbie?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
For reading or
What's
anything?
going on? No, anybody can contact me on my Facebook page, Debbie DeBusk Markham,
Okay.
BUSKMARCUM. Adam and I can be contacted on Beyond the Silence Radio on Facebook. So it's don't we have messaging there?
Yeah, we do. Yep.
Oh,
Absolutely.
okay. I don't, man, Adam is like the best admin ever for that page. Like, I suck so bad when it comes to that kind of thing. He does all the posting, he does everything for that page. So Yay for Adam.
Woohoo.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
hey,
you can
it's
get hold
all
of both
good
of-
though.
You
It works
know,
out though, because I just, that's why I always double check. I'm like, are we sure we're doing this? Are we doing that? And okay, I'm gonna
Right,
post it. Ready?
right.
Okay, here it goes.
Right. Are
She
you
get a-
sure?
He gets
At
play by
3
play.
minutes before the show. Oh my God, Adam, I feel like I'm gonna die. Sorry, everybody, we gotta cancel tonight. Debbie's dying. Debbie is a little dramatic sometimes. Also a problem from my childhood. I'm blaming everything on my childhood. So, but yeah, you can reach us at Beyond the Silence Radio. Adam and I each have our own pages. We do messaging that way. So yeah, I mean, anybody needs to reach us. I do missing persons. So if you have missing persons, please contact me. Project Missing on Facebook, Project Missing Search and Rescue. Adam and I are both admins on that page. Aren't you an admin on that page? Wait a minute.
You took me off.
I
'Cause
did not.
You did, because I can't devote the
Oh,
amount of
that's
time.
right. But
which
you're
was
still
fine.
on it, aren't
Right.
you?
Oh yeah, I still like it, of course.
Oh
but,
no, I didn't
yeah.
know. I thought it. Oh well.
Well, yeah, but it's because I couldn't devote
Yeah.
the constant amount of time that you
Right.
needed. And
Yeah,
it was cool. It was
it's
cool.
a lot of work.
It was.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It is. So, Project Missing Search and Rescue is my baby on Facebook. So, yeah, come join.
Awesome.
We'll post
And Adam?
the links in the comments too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it was fun, everybody. It was
Thank
fun
you
hearing
so
everybody's
much.
weird stories.
Yeah.
And
It
about
really
our crazy
was.
childhoods, all of us.
Hey, you know what? If you don't talk about it, you can't laugh about it. You got to laugh about it, or you wallow in depression. And heaven knows, I am never going to wallow in depression. I will never do it. I won't give into that. So
We won't
That's
let
right.
you.
yeah.
Anytime Debbie's feeling down, oh, we light her up like the 4th of July like she could be having a miserable day, whether it's just me
Don't
personally.
even say the
I'm not.
words.
I'm
will-
not. I'm just
God.
saying.
I wish I had a button for you.
whether it's either me
Somebody
personally,
said,
whether it's me personally or our team page, we find ways to get her to smile and laugh and stuff.
Oh,
And yes,
yeah.
sometimes there's keywords that do work, but
Yeah.
but majority of the time that we find things to just make her smile, because obviously we understand when something's traumatic or whatever's going on, but
It's
at the
been a
same
rough
time,
few months.
Yeah.
It's been
but we work
bad.
it out.
Adam,
Yeah.
someone says there's glowing eyes behind you. So are you in
Well-
your room all by yourself?
What's happening is I know I've seen it too. If I move right, the headphones.
It's the headphones.
like,
Oh.
so
Ah,
Yeah.
see, he debunked it.
No, did
He's okay. He's all by himself.
yeah.
That's funny.
It's nothing. It's the normal blue wall that's behind me. That people are used to seeing. So we were doing the Halloween thing, and that's why I just started to do the candlelight, because it was creepier.
Yeah. Don't have to tell me that.
So Adam, Beyond the Silence, do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, Adam the Black Swamp Mediums, the other for me personally, obviously. So, but like I said, Debbie and I do the joint one with Beyond the Silence, but
Radio. You can't
radio.
forget that radio.
It's true. Yeah, that's true. Gotta have the radio in there. Well,
yeah,
you'll
because
see
we
a
started
photo.
off doing radio. That's
Yeah.
how we started off. So we've
And
never lost.
That was the
Or
only way to
Beyond the
get the
Silence
page
radio.
too, because there was a band, I can't remember if it was like hard rock or heavy metal, that was called Beyond
Right.
the Silence. So we
Right.
threw radio at the end because we still liked it and we weren't really
Yeah.
truly infringing on anything. So
Right.
yep, the Black Swamp Mediums. If you want to look that up for me.
And your flute page.
Oh, it's true. Adam Hawkins music. You can find that. I don't get to post there as much because I've been doing more mediumship and paranormal things, but I do can usually throw something in there. I want to do some more short little lives of me playing just something quick, a couple minutes or so, but that's on the future, down the road, in the future, one of the two.
One of
Same
these
thing.
days-
All right.
One of these days, whenever this craziness is over in the universe on Earth, we're gonna have another show, and I'd love you guys to come and do one with us. It'd be so much fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be fun.
That'd be so much fun. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm just waiting for it to die
Yeah.
down and kind of go away so that we can have our fun in person again and do another big show.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would
We
be
would.
nice. Like
Yeah.
human, like at least no contact, but human like energy in the same room.
Yes.
Really nice.
Yeah.
We'll have a
Yeah.
new- I
Well,
guess-
I hope everybody has an awesome Halloween coming up.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's really fun
Thanks for having
tonight.
us on.
Yes,
We really
Yeah, it was
appreciate
fun.
it.
You're
It
welcome.
was
Thanks
fun.
for coming on and sharing your stories. We love you all. Signing off from the Hearts of Change Collective. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good Halloween.